Everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. A little quick one to throw in between the week. My buddy John from Louisiana sent a nice little challenge into the show. Let's go downstairs and see if we can tackle it. Okay, so today's project, my buddy John from Louisiana wanted to send in one of these clamps because remember we did the grand clamp? Well, he found this one here, and if you look real close, you could see here it's another grand clamp, and this one's a little bit different. This one here, it is a quick release. You can see by pressing this up and down, you can move it. And it also has the clamping mechanism, which stops any twisting of the work. So, in other words, if you had a piece of wood that you wanted to clamp up, you would just slide that up there like that. It doesn't have to be real tight, but then when you press this down, you could see you get that clamping action, and that's in there solid. Very interesting little clamp. These were around for quite a while. Beautiful clamp. We're going to get on it, clean it up, and do that. But believe it or not, what today's project is, John and I were also talking about, he says he has this little bicycle wrench, and he was curious about this bicycle wrench, and he says, we have a problem. The problem is, and he explained it really well, but he says, you know, like when I hold it a certain way, the wrench slips. You see here? It slips. So I started thinking, I said, what could that problem be? Could it be that the bushing is worn on here? Could it be the thumb wheel is worn? You see this, the spacing? We have some space there between the gears and the wrench. So this led to a whole bunch of thought on my part. And I said, John, could you do me a favor and send me that wrench? And he said, sure. And we've been talking about it. And I said, I see what the problem was. I was hoping that maybe the thumb wheel needed a bushing in it and I could rebush the thumb wheel, but it's not. It's something totally different. And you could see, like I said, you could see it's not the wrong thumb wheel. It's the right thumb wheel. He wants to keep the wrench pretty much original. And so let's go see what we're going to do with this. There are only 4 pieces to this wrench, so we'll take it apart. We'll do a quick cleanup. You could see here there is no excessive play around this thumb wheel. There is not excessive wear on the thumb wheel. I've seen these worn down that still has its knurling on there, so it makes me, you know, very curious to what the problem is. So let's get it cleaned up and take a good look at it. Here we have the wrench all cleaned up and ready to assemble. A couple things I want to tell you now. And I was saying I could probably make this a larger one, but I don't have the thread pitch gauge on my lathe. See, this is, if you look really closely here, using the Starrett 475 screw pitch gauge. If you look really close here, see, that's how you measure out what the gauge is. And you can see it fits right on the lands and also in the grooves. And that is a, if you look close here, you'll see it's 8 threads per inch. So, but I don't have the ability to cut a new one. And even if I did, John wants to keep this original. He wants to keep all the original parts. He wants it to look original. He just don't want it to fall apart. And, you know, he wants it kind of, he's not going to be using it. But, so that leaves our dilemma. How do we fix this wrench to get it to work? Now, here with the wrench assembled, you could see, here's some of my train of thought that you say, how could you do this? He didn't want any of the finish ground off. He wanted it just the way it is. So everything looks really nice. I'll give you a little bit of history. It's a very interesting history of this wrench. But you could see here, we still have that issue with the problem. So, other than making a larger wheel, which would be replacing this wheel, it wouldn't be the correct wheel. How could we fix it? Now, you could see here, we could press this down with the dake, but then I'm messing with the wrench, you know, if I squeeze it down. And then also, being that this is a forging, and I could crack. So, you know, you run out of options here. But I do have an option. If you ever seen something broached before, I'm thinking that there could be a possible way I could put a shim in here. So let's go check out the possibility of putting a shim. Now, I guess I'm a 3rd or 4th generation junk picker, and I can find uses for things you wouldn't even imagine. And that comes back from old time junk masters like my grandfather and his grandfather before him. What these are, what you're looking at here are, you ever see a windshield wiper? When a windshield wiper is thrown out, the rubber inside of a windshield wiper, there's these pieces of stainless steel, and that keeps the body of the rubber from, you know, gives it some support. And these are inside of the wipers, of all your rubber wiper blades. Now, these, believe it or not, are from bus wiper blades. When I used to work for the bus company, if I'd be walking in the yard and I'd see a windshield washer thrown there, I would grab it, and there was 2 of these in each one, and I would pull them out, and I would take them home. Rather me than the garbage, right? And you could see some of these were sitting in the yard for a while. They got run over. But what these were, I always said, these are great stainless steel shim stock if ever you need a shim stock. So I'm thinking this one here is from an automobile. It's very thin, and I want to use this to make a little shim stock to put in the back of here along the backbone of the wrench, so that it could still be used, keep it original, and if ever he decides he wants to do an altercation down the road, it's no big deal. So let's get working on it. Okay, using Great Grandpa's lineman's pliers, we put a little shim in there from a windshield washer insert from, and you can see that shim runs all the way down the spine. Now it forces the body, the jaw, to the closer to the wheel, and now it works. It works beautiful, smooth as can be. Look at that, and no slippage. Now, if you wanted to remove it, you just take the jaw out, pull that thing out, no problem. But it works. So let's try it out. What a cool fix. Now, here's something pretty interesting. If you look over here, you could see that little L in a keystone. And what this was the stamping for Lakeside Forge. And they were out of Erie, Pennsylvania. And that is a keystone with the L in it. And what a keystone is, this is the what the insignia looks like if you look it up close. A keystone, when you're making an arch out of stone, these are springers. And this here, the center stone, the most important one, is called the keystone. And they adopted that because Pennsylvania was known as the Keystone State. Pennsylvania was the middle of the 13th original colonies, and they considered themselves what held everybody together. Now you can see how nicely this works. We didn't even lubricate this yet, but you can see it just works beautifully. Now we're going to try it out onto the wrench tester here, snug it up, and you can see this just works terrific. It went from a non-working wrench, now we have a terrific, smooth working, nice wrench, all because that little shim that we put in there. So the best part is, John, if ever you want to take it out, fix the jaws up and everything looks nice. If ever you want to take it out and do something, it takes 2 seconds to remove it, but it is a working wrench now, something for your collection, and it does look very presentable. Nice little wrench. John, thanks very much for sending it in to the show, and we'll send it back to you today in the mail. And thanks very much for tuning in. Take care. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.